What's up guys, it's the Cheapster here back with another React video, and today we got a fun one. Today we are doing What I Spent in a Week in Philadelphia as a 21-year-old by Nate O'Brien. Nate O'Brien is a YouTuber. I've seen him pop up a lot in search algorithms and stuff. He gets a lot of traffic. His channel has 1.08 million subscribers, which is crazy. He broke the 1 million mark. This video is doing pretty well. 5.8 thousand likes and only 101 dislikes. I always think when the dislike ratio is that low, that's pretty impressive. So let's go ahead and start this video off by giving it a thumbs up, and we'll go ahead and subscribe. I'm already subscribed, but you guys should subscribe too. Check out his channel. I'm excited for this one because a lot of them are like New York or LA and stuff. Philadelphia is one that I know Philadelphia is probably a pretty expensive city, but I really don't know like how expensive. So it'll be interesting to see how much you really spend in Philadelphia, especially as a 21-year-old. I did not know he was only 21. I guess this was back in 2019, so he is older now, but still, I thought he was older than that.
So there's been this trend going around recently where people show how much money they spent in the past week. And because this channel is primarily focused on personal finance, and because I want to tap into the YouTube algorithm, I thought what better than to make a video about exactly how much money I spent in the past 7 days.
YouTube algorithm, he's tapping in. He knows what he's doing here.
I don't know anybody in the city of Philadelphia who has a YouTube channel. If you're interested in Philadelphia, if you're looking towards visiting or anything else in between, then this might be of some value.
Yeah, that's really helpful because I don't know of any other Philadelphia videos. I've seen at least not ones that are like big on YouTube, so pretty cool to see one from Philadelphia.
So for this apartment right here, I pay $948 per month, and this is in essentially Center City, which is going to be the most expensive part of the city. But for $948 per month, I find this to actually be a very good deal.
I think $948 is very cheap. That's a pretty good price. I'm shocked to hear that that's all he's paying. I don't know if that's just like a one bedroom or like a studio or what, but $948, that's really good.
And that $948 includes my electricity, includes water, includes sewage, includes everything.
Wow, that includes everything for $948? That's insane. How'd you get such a good deal? That's crazy. I just came from an apartment. It was a 2-bedroom, but I mean, it's just in Greenville, South Carolina. It's not like in some big city. We were paying more than that, and that's not even counting electricity and all that kind of stuff. So that's a great deal. That's awesome.
Comes out to about $223 a week for my rent. Now, I also have 2 phone bills that comes out to $84 per month, which is about $20 per week if you divide by 4.25 from the month.
2 phone bills? Why do you have 2 phones? Is that like one's a work phone? Do people still do that? I feel like people just use like the Google whatever to like have a separate line on your same phone. I don't know. 2 phone lines seems like it might be a waste of money. You could probably figure out something better. But maybe back in 2019 they didn't have that option, but I think they probably did.
Now, I have 2 phones. I'm not a drug dealer, but I like to have fast internet as well. So I pay $30 a month for my Wi-Fi.
Wait, he didn't explain why he has 2 phones. All he said was, I'm not a drug dealer. But why do you have 2 phones though? You didn't explain it.
So I pay $30 a month for my Wi-Fi.
That's a good Wi-Fi price. Wi-Fi can be so expensive. I was paying like $60 a month for just crappy Wi-Fi. So
$379 for all of my different types of insurance, for health insurance, dental, everything else in between, which comes out to about $89 per week for insurance.
Insurance is expensive. I guess he's probably counting like car insurance if he has a car. I guess people in cities like this a lot of times don't even have cars. Insurance is expensive if he's just fully self-employed. Getting health insurance and all that kind of stuff, that costs a lot of money. So that's not too bad, honestly. I'd say that's like a pretty good price.
And then I also pay $60 a month for a rock gym, which is not something you can do everywhere, so you kind of have to pay for it unless you live in Colorado. So that's $14 a week.
That's fun. If you can actually do that, that's like bouldering. I've done it once, and when I say I've done it, I use the term loosely because I didn't do much. I was on like the tutorial wall, and I was like struggling with that. So that's pretty expensive for that price, but of course that's like not only like where you're going to be able to get a good workout in because you're doing bouldering, but then it's also some entertainment. So if you do that a lot, it's probably worth its money pretty easily, and you're going to be strengthening yourself, getting a good workout.
So in total, my fixed costs come out to about $353 per week.
That's not too bad. I mean, he's paying then like what? It's about $1,400 a month in fixed costs. That's like the amount that a lot of people pay for rent, or like way more than that. So if that's all his costs, that's pretty great living in downtown Philadelphia. Or he said Center City. I'm assuming that's downtown. I don't know.
And you may have noticed that I cut out transportation here as a fixed cost because I don't have a car.
Doesn't have a car, so that doesn't include car insurance on that other cost, which it's still not bad though, because health insurance is just so expensive. But that's a good way to save money. I cannot stand having a car. It's you have to have one if you're not in a big city with public transportation, but not having a car, oh, that would just be so nice. You don't have to spend all the money on having the car. You don't have to spend all the money on gas. You don't have to spend all the money on insurance. Of course, I work with a car because I do Grubhub and stuff, so I kind of need mine, but if I didn't have to have one, it would be so nice not to even have to worry about that.
It's very similar to New York in the sense that it's very congested, but also very dense, and you can walk to pretty much anywhere that you need to go. Any store, any place in the city is an easy walk, or maybe a subway ride away.
That is awesome. It was so fun when me and my wife lived in New York for 6 months, and we didn't bring our cars with us because it would have been so much money to keep them there. Like it would have been like hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month just to store a car there. So we definitely didn't bring them, and it was so freeing just to not have a car. Just you walk out your door and you're like, you'll hop onto a subway. We had subway passes so we could take subways for free. It's just such a good, fun experience to just be free from the burden of having a car and get all the exercise in when walking and all that kind of stuff. So I lost a lot of weight walking around. I was also training for a marathon at the time, so that's partially why I lost weight, but also didn't lose too much weight because you're in New York City, and man, there's a lot of good food there.
But let's talk about this week and exactly what I spent. So Mondays, I like to do all of my kind of chores you'd think of. So doing laundry, going grocery shopping, doing all that. I like to do it on Mondays. And I do this because I think a lot of people do it on Sunday or on Saturday during the weekend because they have time off then. But I don't like bumping into everybody in the store.
I actually like that mentality of just like getting all that kind of stuff done on Monday. When you're self-employed and stuff too, it's so nice to be able to make those decisions and do those things on a Monday and not have to do them on the weekend. Plus then you get to enjoy your weekend. You know, you don't want to be doing laundry and stuff on the weekends anyway, so make Monday the day you do that.
$1.25 for laundry. I don't use dryers. I just use this little clothing rack thing here. And sure, it does save me like $1 every time, but it's more so just kind of saves energy, and I don't want to shrink my clothes, so I just don't use dryers.
Wow, that's awesome. Like, that's so foreign to me because my whole life just washer, dryer. I would never think to like hang stuff, but I guess it just needs to dry, so if you can air dry it, I guess why not? And he literally was drying like, what's that? Like, he's literally drying like his 5th black shirt on that thing. I know he's like a minimalist, and I think all he has is like the same type of clothes. That's pretty cool. He's only got black shirts. So easy. You just wake up, pick a shirt. You know what? It took me just to pick this shirt out today because I was like, oh, these shirts are dirty. Okay, what do I even have? What's in my clean basket? Because I haven't hung my clothes yet. I gotta find something and dig around, finally find this shirt. Now I'm like, okay, I'm out of shirts. I gotta go do laundry. So it would be so nice just to have, like, you just put on a black shirt. You know that's what you're gonna do? Put on a black shirt, and then you start your day.
Later on in the day, I went grocery shopping. The problem with where I live is that I can't really walk to Aldi or to Walmart or any other like really inexpensive food place. So I end up with the options of Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. And, you know, I end up going with Trader Joe's.
Yes, that is so true about like finding a place to go in New York. The first weekend we went to go shopping. I didn't want to spend crazy New York prices. So we went and took the subway up to Aldi, and it was like a terrible experience because it was so far away. It takes so long on the subway to get there. In the end, I was like, is it really worth to save that kind of money? So we did end up starting to go to Trader Joe's too, which hurt me a little bit as a cheapster because it does get expensive, but it is much better than going to like Whole Foods and stuff, like he said. And he did say like he doesn't have stuff close to him like Walmart, but what we did in New York was we would just do the Walmart shipping for anything that was like canned goods or stuff that we needed to buy that wasn't perishable. It just had it shipped us, and it just like came right to us. Right to our door. So to me, I was like, this is way easier anyway than me having to go out, and we save money that we were able to get some of that stuff cheaper. But it is hard when you don't have all those options around you, or they're not super accessible because you have to carry everything back with you. So I get it. I get the Trader Joe's. That's kind of why people go there, and it's not that bad of a place.
So I spent $33 for all of my food for this week, which tends to be kind of less than what I normally spend on food. So generally for a week's worth of food, I might spend maybe $50 for groceries is kind of what I try to aim for. Sometimes I'll go over. This week it was a lot less because I'm gonna clean out my fridge and clean out some of my cabinets and eat some of the food that has just been piling up for the past a month or two.
I love that mentality of like sometimes you just need to like clean out your food and just use what you got instead of keep buying stuff, because then you just let stuff expire. So it's good to kind of have those days to like clean everything out and use your stuff so you don't waste food, and then you get to save money while you do it.
I don't really like going to Whole Foods too much because you walk out of Whole Foods with like one bag of groceries and you're looking at like $120 somehow. I don't know why. I feel like it's just double the price for not that much more value.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Somebody who understands Whole Foods is just a waste of money. Don't go there. Go to Trader Joe's if you want to go get organics, or in his situation, if that's the only thing you got, better than Whole Foods. You're getting close to Cheapster approved here.
On Tuesday, I didn't spend very much as well. I really just spent $2.50 for the Subway in Philadelphia, which is only moderately sketchy, only if you really go at night. And then $2.50 for the way back. I went to the Rock Gym.
I'm surprised he doesn't have a Subway pass. If he spent $5 in one day, he probably works it out and realizes that getting the Subway pass would be more expensive. But like I said, we were in New York, we had the Subway pass, and that was much cheaper than like doing little trips. Even if you took some trips and not even that much, it was so much cheaper just to get the Subway pass, and then you didn't have to worry about it. I know I'm starting to sound like one of those people like when I lived in New York, but it's what I got to compare it to. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like that.
$5 was my total expenses for Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, I went to Chipotle for lunch. I don't mind going out to eat from time to time. I don't mind going and getting some food places. I don't have to cook at home every single time, 3 or 4 times a day. So for Chipotle, it was $9.18.
Yeah, Chipotle is pretty good, and I totally understand what he's saying too about like he does like to go out. It does make sense, you know, if you're gonna live in Philadelphia, you're going to want to go out and like kind of experience the city. Even though it's Chipotle, it's not like some kind of Philadelphia restaurant or something. I'm sure he goes to places too though, but obviously Chipotle is going to be much cheaper. But it is nice to get out. Like if you're living in an area like that, what's the point if you're not going to go out and experience it? So I totally can understand that. And Chipotle is not an expensive thing. And it does come with a lot of food. Sometimes, as long as you get the people who are going to be nice and give you a lot of food, because sometimes you get those people that are like, they just put like half a scoop of rice in your bowl, and you're like, what is that? That's not how much a burrito or a bowl should be. What are you doing?
The one thing I don't like doing is going out to, say, fancy restaurants. I've been to like a couple in my life where maybe it's like $60 for a meal, and then it comes out and it's like this one little tiny piece of fish or like a little tiny crab leg, and by the time you're done eating it, you're more hungry than when you started eating it. Like that's how small the portions are. I don't know.
Yeah, I hate that too. Like, what's the point of those places if they're gonna be fancy? Come on, give you a good portion.
But then on Thursday, my sister came down to visit me, so we went to the Reading Terminal, which is something that I would suggest doing. I just got some gator gumbo. I think it was like $8.57.
That's cheaper than his Chipotle. Why are you going to Chipotle? Get some gator gumbo. Is that got like alligator in it? That sounds good.
Central, and I think it's a cool place. It's a Reading Terminal.
Let me point out, that's pretty awesome. Like the setup he's got there with that, like, it's not a smokestack, but whatever those are, like a vent blowing smoke out behind him. That's like a really cool shot.
And then on Friday, I had a lot of my friends come and visit me, so I had 8 people staying over in my apartment. Probably a bad idea to have that many people in this one apartment.
8 people. That is a lot of people. Man, to be 21 again when it was like, who cares? You just blow up air mattress, set them down. Nobody cares. Everyone will sleep fine, and you'll get up the next day and be ready to go. Now I'm 28, and it's like, man, if I get a setup like that, I'm like, man, my back's going to hurt the next day. I'm not going to sleep well. I'm going to be in a bad mood. I'm getting old. Those days were fun, though. I miss those days. And you just pack everyone in a room. It didn't matter because you guys were just going to be together. You're going to have a fun time. Those were the good days.
And we end up going to gyms on South Street. You could also go to Gino's or Pat's or Steve's.
I've heard
or
of
pretty much
Gino's.
any other like Italian name you can think of.
Heard
has
it's
some
really
cheesesteaks here. But they're all really good. And that was like $9.75.
That's basically the same price as Chipotle. Now I'm going against the Chipotle thing now because I'm like, Chipotle's not too expensive, so you might as well go there. But he's got all these other things that are like Philadelphia staples and stuff that they're like the same price. Just go to those. Why are you going to Chipotle? I get it. Chipotle's good. You probably just get hit with a craving. You want some Chipotle, fine. But from an outsider, I'm like, what are you doing? Go get some Philly cheesesteaks. Probably a little bit healthier to have the Chipotle over the Philly cheesesteaks, but it's whatever.
And then we went out to some places afterwards, to a couple bars. I don't really go out to drink very much at all, but I bought everybody around, and there was a $10 cover. So in total, between the round and the cover, it was $64 plus the cheesesteak. The total expenses for Friday was about $73.75.
That's a lot. Oh man, these videos always get harder when stuff like that, because I'm like, you're spending on friends, you got friends in town, you're buying everyone around, it's being generous. I can't really fault people that much for that, especially if you've got the money. If you don't have the money to spend to be generous, then you can't be spending money to be generous. I'm sorry, but he probably has the money, so I can't really fault that, because you're just being generous to the people that are in town, trying to show them a good time. So okay. I would usually just kind of wipe that off the spending record, because it's not really what you're spending on yourself in the week, so that's all right.
I generally like to allot maybe like $50 a week for some type of like entertainment thing on the weekend or something. If some friends want to do something, I'm totally willing to pay some money for that because it fits my budget. If I was on a tighter budget, I probably wouldn't go and spend $64 at a bar. I definitely would not do that. But like I said, it's very rare. I'll probably do this like once a month or once every other month, so it's okay and it fits into my budget.
That's the point right there. It fits into his budget, so that's all right. And you know what? When you're going to be spending money on like experience things like that, I think that's the best thing to actually spend your money on, especially with friends in town you haven't seen in a long time. That's a good time to spend your money.
And then the next morning, we went to IHOP. I wasn't gonna, give everybody peanut butter and jelly or something for breakfast. So we just went to IHOP. It was easier to do that. And it's $13.88 for that.
I'd love peanut butter and jelly. If I was visiting him, I would be like, oh, peanut butter and jelly for breakfast. Awesome. Cool. Yeah.
Christmas is coming up right here. And so that is going to be $8 to get the train back to my parents' house.
That's awesome. $8 for the train. I don't know how far that's taking him, but I mean, $8. That's the kind of stuff you just can't beat. If you had a car, the gas alone might be more than $8, and you have all the car upkeep, you're losing depreciation. So, oh man, I wish it was easier to not have cars. Of course, like I said, for me, it's different because I work grow up, so I probably would still have one anyway, but it's so freeing to not have a car and you save money.
So in total, for the variable expenses for this week is $152.63.
That's not bad. $152 in a week when he spent like $64 on his friends. He's spending under $100 in expenses for the week. Also, when you're in a city like Philadelphia, some things are just going to be more expensive, so it is harder to bring that down than being in like another city. But of course, you get all the experience from being in the city for free. When you're in another city, you might want to go out and spend more and do more because you don't have as much around you. Sometimes that's the way it works. So I can see that. It's not too bad. It's pretty good.
We're looking at about $505.63 for the past 7 days that I've spent.
It's about $2,000 a month or something like that. So you're spending like $24,000 a year. That's very affordable, I would say. You can definitely be saving a lot if you're working full time at even a pretty low paying job. You still could be paying that and still saving a good amount of money, especially in Philadelphia where the pay is probably higher.
I would say maybe I'll spend a little bit less on some weeks, but then other times I'll spend a lot more. And that's because I do a lot of traveling, as maybe you know if you've seen some videos before on this channel or if you've seen me on Instagram anywhere. But the way that I do this is I factor it into my budget by just setting aside 5% of my post-tax income towards a travel fund. So that in a couple of weeks, I think I'm gonna go to Mexico, or I might go back to Europe for a little bit, and I'll have that money kind of set aside and allotted for those trips.
That's awesome. That's kind of actually like what me and my wife do. We do set aside like a nice chunk of money for travel, and actually we can do stuff like work more Grubhub and things like that to make more money, to be able to have more money for travel. So it's really awesome to be able to do that and have extra money. I think that is a great way to spend your money on traveling, getting more experiences out than just like, spending like $60 on a couple meals through Grubhub. Even though I'm a Grubhub driver, I think that kind of stuff is just a waste of money. You don't really get much experience out of that, and it's much better to just set aside some money, do it for travel. And he gave us a little hint there. He must be making some pretty good money, because if he's setting aside 5% and he's going to Mexico, or he says he's going back to Europe, like those are expensive places to go. So he must be making some pretty good money. So the amount of money that he is spending is really not that bad then, probably for what he's making.
So that's it. That's how much I spend in Philadelphia for this week.
All right, that's it. That was pretty good. My hair is probably crazy now. I need to get a haircut so bad. All right, so I would say about him, he's a pretty cheap guy. He did do a pretty good job, especially stuff like his apartment. I'm assuming that's a studio. I'm assuming because it's just so cheap. If that's a 1-bedroom, that's crazy. But that really brings down a lot of the costs so that he has money to be able to spend on other things. So I can't really fault much because that was so cheap alone that everything else he spends is kind of like, well, you could be spending that on your apartment anyway. And he did pretty well on everything. I mean, he already said, like, you know, he wanted to go to Aldi, but they don't have it. So he's thinking through all these things, trying to figure out how he can be as cheap as possible with this stuff. So I think I said before that now my rating scale is going to be 1 to 5 on the cheap scale. And if you get 5, that's when you get the Cheapster seal of approval. And I think I'm going to have to hand it out. I think I'm going to have to give the Cheapster seal of approval here because I think that this is a 5. There may be some things, but some of that stuff was like him giving stuff to his friends and, you know, being generous. I can't really fault people for that. So I'm going to say 5. I think he gets a 5. This was a great video. He does a great job budgeting and sticking to it, it sounds like. So great job. Great job. 5 out of 5. Cheapster seal of approval. Let me go give him his rating in the comments here. Is this going to be a stupid thing to do when I like get people who are spinning bad and I'm like 1 out of 5 on the cheap scale you stink? Doesn't matter. For now, he's getting a 5 out of 5. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the comment, the Cheapster seal of approval. But yeah, great video. If you guys want to check out his channel, it's Nate O'Brien. Right now, he's apparently living in his truck. That's a video he just did 2 weeks ago, which I think is awesome. Living that kind of lifestyle, man, that just sounds so fun. So check him out. Subscribe to his channel if you guys are interested in that. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. It was really fun to do, really fun to see other cheapsters and to be excited to see their spending and not be like, oh man, you're spending $150 for a couple days on Whole Foods. What are you doing? But if you guys like the video, make sure to do the cheapest thing you can today. Actually even cheaper than Nate O'Brien, and that's tapping the like button because it doesn't cost you anything. Also subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will see you guys in the next video, and remember, stay cheap.
Hey, you better be saving that money. Don't you be spending it now. You're still here watching this? You might as well just subscribe. Why would you not at this point?